In the heart of Nigeria, nestled among the rolling hills and verdant landscapes of the Bodo land, there was a small village called Ajay. It was a place where the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of children's laughter. It was in this idyllic setting that two young girls, Ife and Bisi, formed a bond that would shape their lives forever. Ife and Bisi met on the first day of primary school. It was a day like any other, with the sun shining brightly and the village bustling with activity. Both girls were nervous as they clutched their mother's hands, their eyes wide with curiosity and a hint of fear. As they stepped into the classroom, their teacher, Mrs. Adebayo, a kind woman with a gentle smile, introduced them to each other. Ife, this is Bisi. Bisi, meet Ife. Why don't you two sit together? She suggested warmly. That simple introduction was the beginning of a lifelong bond. From that day forward, Ife and Bisi were inseparable. They shared everything, from pencils and lunch boxes to secrets and dreams. Their friendship blossomed, filled with sleepovers, shared birthday parties, and endless laughter. Their families became close friends, often visiting each other and celebrating holidays together. As they grew older, their bond only strengthened. They navigated the tumultuous waters of adolescence side by side, supporting each other through first crushes, heartbreaks, and the ups and downs of teenage life. They attended the same secondary school, where they became known as the inseparable duo. If you saw one, you were sure the other wasn't far behind. Ife was the more reserved of the two, with a quiet strength and a compassionate heart. Bisi was vivacious and outgoing, always ready to take on the world with a smile. Despite their differences, they complemented each other perfectly. They often joked that they were like two halves of the same whole. After secondary school, Ife and Bisi attended different universities, but they stayed in constant contact. They visited each other frequently, sharing their university experiences and dreaming about the future. It was during her final year at university that Ife met Shola, a charming and ambitious young man studying business. They quickly fell in love, and by the time they graduated, they were engaged. Shola was everything Ife had ever dreamed of in a husband. He was kind, loving, and incredibly successful. He came from a wealthy family, and his business acumen only added to their prosperity. After their wedding, a grand celebration that brought the entire village together, Ife and Shola moved into a stunning home in an upscale neighborhood. Their life seemed perfect. Bisi, ever the supportive friend, was thrilled for Ife. She stood by her side as the maid of honor at Ife and Shola's wedding, a beautiful ceremony held in their hometown. The wedding was a fairy tale come to life, and Bisi couldn't have been happier for her best friend. However, as the years passed, Ife and Shola faced a challenge they had not anticipated. Despite their love and happiness, they struggled to conceive a child. Ife, who had always dreamed of becoming a mother, was heartbroken. They consulted doctors and tried various treatments, but nothing seemed to work. Shola, though disappointed, remained supportive. He assured Ife that he loved her deeply, and that they would face this challenge together. "We'll keep trying, my love," he would say. "And if it's not meant to be, we'll explore other options. We have each other, and that's what matters most." Meanwhile, Bisi's life had taken a different path. Bisi remained unmarried and couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy whenever she visited Ife's beautiful home. Bisi had always been the more adventurous and outgoing one, and she had pursued a career in marketing. She was successful in her own right, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Ife had everything she had ever wanted: a loving husband, a luxurious lifestyle, and a seemingly perfect life. As Ife confided in Bisi about her struggles to conceive, Bisi offered her support and comfort. But deep down, a seed of jealousy began to take root. She saw the pain in Ife's eyes and the longing in Shola's, and she began to wonder what it would be like to have what Aoife had. She began to seduce him, her charm and persistence eventually breaking down his resistance. What started as innocent flirtation quickly escalated into a full-blown secret affair, one that would soon lead to consequences neither could foresee. Over the next few weeks, Beesie and Shola's interactions became increasingly flirtatious. They began to meet in secret, rationalizing their actions with excuses and justifications. Beesie told herself that she was simply trying to get what she wanted, while Shola convinced himself that he was still devoted to Aoife. It wasn't long before their secret meetings turned into a full-blown affair. Beesie, intoxicated by the thrill and power she felt, reveled in the attention. Shola, conflicted and guilty, was caught in a web of emotions he couldn't untangle. Their relationship became a dark and tangled secret, hidden from Aoife's trusting eyes. As the months passed, Beesie's guilt grew heavier with each stolen moment she shared with Shola. Her once joyful demeanor turned into a mask of secrecy and deceit. Despite the growing darkness within her, she continued the affair, convincing herself that her love for Shola justified her actions. One fateful evening, Beesie discovered she was pregnant. The news brought a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, and a twisted sense of victory. She decided it was time to confront Shola with the truth. As they met in their usual secluded spot by the river, Beesie revealed her pregnancy to Shola, expecting him to be overjoyed. Instead, his face paled, and a look of anguish replaced his usual calm demeanor. Shola was torn. Though he had been entangled in the affair, his love for his wife, Aoife, remained strong. The news of Beesie's pregnancy was a dagger to his heart, complicating his already divided loyalties. That very night, as he returned home, his heart heavy with the weight of his transgressions, Aoife greeted him with a radiant smile and news that sent his world spinning. She too was pregnant. A blessing they had longed for after years of trying. Caught between the joy of his wife's announcement and the turmoil of his secret affair, Shola's mind raced. He knew he had to make a decision, one that would protect his family and salvage what remained of his honor. The following day, he met with Beesie, urging her to terminate the pregnancy. His words, though spoken with desperation, only fueled her anger. Beesie refused, threatening to reveal their affair to Aoife if he insisted. Desperation turned into rage, and in a moment of panic, Shola took drastic measures. He gave Beesie a concoction, assuring her it would help with the pregnancy. Trusting him, she drank it, unaware of the harm it would cause. The next day, she fell ill, and despite the efforts of the doctor, she lost the baby. The doctor delivered more devastating news: the damage was irreversible, and Beesie would never conceive again. Beesie's grief soon transformed into a burning desire for revenge. She watched as Shola and Aoife celebrated their long-awaited pregnancy, their joy a stark contrast to her pain. Determined to make them pay for the life she lost and the betrayal she endured, Beesie began to plot her revenge, her mind consumed by a darkness that threatened to engulf the entire village. Beesie's mind was filled with dark thoughts, each more twisted than the last. Her anger against Shola and Aoife intensified as days passed. She knew she had to strike, and her plan had to be even more devastating. She couldn't rest until their happiness was completely destroyed. Shola's suspicions of Beesie had not stopped. He was haunted by the guilt of his affair and the sense that Beesie was a ticking time bomb, ready to explode and destroy everything he held dear. His nights were sleepless, plagued by nightmares of betrayal and loss. He watched Beesie closely, searching for any sign that would confirm his fears. One bright morning, under the guise of friendship, Beesie visited Aoife at the school where she taught. The children's laughter and the bustling energy of the schoolyard contrasted sharply with the dark intentions in Beesie's heart. She waited for the opportune moment when Aoife was distracted, helping a group of students with their lessons. Aoife, Let me fetch your supplements for you, Bisi offered with a sweet smile, masking the malice underneath. Fa, grateful for the help, nodded. Thank you, Bisi. They are in my desk drawer. As Fa focused on her students, Bisi quickly retrieved the bottle of supplements from the drawer. With practiced ease, she swapped them with a bottle she had prepared earlier, filled with a dangerous concoction designed to weaken Fa and harm her unborn baby. She placed the tampered bottle back in the drawer and returned to Fa's side, her heart racing with anticipation. Over the next 2 days, Fa began taking the new supplements, unaware of the poison they contained. She soon started feeling unusually weak, her energy draining away. The symptoms grew more severe with each passing hour. By the 3rd day, her weakness became overwhelming. As she tried to take her morning dose, her trembling hands fumbled, and the bottle slipped from her grasp, spilling the tablets across the floor. Panic-stricken and too weak to clean up the mess, Fa knew something was terribly wrong. She decided to visit Dr. Chima, the village doctor, hoping for an explanation and a remedy. Dr. Chima examined her carefully, his brow furrowing with concern as he analyzed the spilled tablets she had brought with her. Fa, these aren't the supplements I prescribed, Dr. Chima said, his voice filled with alarm. These tablets contain harmful substances that could have seriously endangered both you and your baby. Fa's mind reeled. How could this have happened? She had been so careful. Confused and frightened, she rushed home to tell Shola what had happened. She found him sitting on the veranda, his face etched with worry. Shola, something's wrong, she cried, tears streaming down her face. The doctor said I've been taking harmful substances. Someone tampered with my supplements. Shola's heart sank. His suspicions about Bisi had grown over the past few weeks, and now they seemed justified. He pulled Fa into his arms, comforting her, as he felt his anger boiling beneath the surface. He knew he had to confront Bisi, to protect his wife and unborn child from further harm. Later that evening, Shola sought out Bisi, finding her near the edge of the village where she often went to gather her thoughts. His approach was deliberate, his steps heavy with determination. Bisi looked up, startled by the intensity in his eyes. Shola, what's wrong? She asked, her voice dripping with false concern. You know damn well what's wrong, Bisi, Shola hissed, his voice low and threatening. You tampered with Fa's supplements. You tried to harm her and our baby. Why, Bisi? Why would you do such a thing? Bisi's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, the mask of innocence slipped. After what you did to me, Shola. You're the evil one here. You and Fa deserve everything that's coming to you. Shola's anger erupted. Stay away from my family, Bisi. If you come near Fa again, I swear I'll make you regret it. Bisi's lips curled into a sinister smile. You think you can threaten me? You have no idea what I'm capable of. Determined to protect his family, Shola returned home, unaware that Bisi was already plotting her next move. The confrontation had only fueled her desire for revenge. She knew that if she couldn't destroy them through subtlety, she would have to take more drastic measures. That night, Bisi sought out a group of mercenaries who operated in the shadows of neighboring villages. She paid them handsomely to kidnap Shola and take him far away, to a place where he would be out of her way for good. The plan was set in motion, and within days, the mercenaries struck. Shola was ambushed while walking through a deserted part of the village. They bound and gagged him, dragging him into the depths of the forest. Fa was left alone, heartbroken and terrified when she realized her husband was missing. The villagers searched for days, but there was no trace of Shola. Despair settled over Fa like a shroud. Bisi, feigning concern and support, inserted herself into Fa's life more deeply. She visited Effe's home frequently, offering comfort and assistance. Efe, overwhelmed by grief and exhaustion, accepted Bisi's presence, unaware of the true threat she posed. One evening, as Efe sat by the fire, lost in her sorrow, Bisi arrived with a warm smile and a basket of food. "I thought you might need some company," she said softly, her eyes gleaming with hidden malice. Efe managed a weak smile. "Thank you, Bisi. I don't know what I'd do without your support." Bisi sat beside her, her mind racing with the possibilities. She had Shola out of the way, but now she needed to ensure that Efe would lose her baby and would never find happiness again.